Hey everybody, it's Matt here. Today I wanted to make a video talking about options for oboists and bassoonists for that matter for sharpening our reed knives. What types of tools, um, specifically sharpening stones, can we use to keep our tools in good shape? Um, Before we get into the different types of sharpening stones, I want to make one note, and that is that I prefer flat bench stones to ceramic rods. Um, Ceramic rods certainly do a good job, but because you're only touching one part of the knife's edge to the one part of the rod at a time, it can lead to unevenness in the straightness of your edge. Specifically, we can get sort of a more wear in the center of our knife edge and less wear on the heel and toe, and you can develop some curvature there, which is not ideal if you're going to use then ever a flat stone, because then the entirety of your knife edge won't touch the stone and you won't really be doing anything. I hope that made sense. If it didn't, leave a comment and we can talk more about it. So I don't actually own any ceramic rods, or any rods for that matter, except for a burnishing steel rod, which I sometimes use, which I showed in my sharpening video. Um, but today I want to talk about specific different types of stones that we can use and some of their pros and cons. So we're going to talk about different types of grits, fine, coarse, and the benefits of those. We're going to talk about natural stones, synthetic stones, or man-made ones, um, oil stones, water stones, and some that you can use dry also, how to clean them. And one really important thing is some of these stones are what I call friable, which means they kind of crumble, or they wear away under your knife. Um, some stones are designed to do that because when the abrasive wears away, what it does is it exposes new abrasive. So that can make the sharpening process go faster. What that also does, though, is it wears your stone out of being flat. So, one more thing before we get started, you're probably wondering what this is. This is not actually a sharpening stone. This is a very heavy granite block that I got at a woodworking store. It's machined to be perfectly flat. I think within, I want to say they said within a thousandth of an inch or so, which is plenty good enough for me. Um, so again, just like we want our knife edge to be straight and flat, we want our stones to be flat so that they treat the knife edge equally. Um, this granite block is what I use to flatten stones if and when they wear. The way you do that is you take a piece of sandpaper and you can put a little water on it, and then you take your stone, and if it's worn on this side, you just put it on sandpaper and you rub it until it's flat again. You can put pencil marks on the stone to check, if they're all worn away or not. And basically, this provides a flat surface to flatten your stones on. It also provides a nice video backdrop. So, the first one I want to talk about is one that I actually don't use very often, but that I wanted to mention, and it's a Shapton Glass stone. This is ceramic material. It's, I believe, alumina and silicon carbide with binders in it to keep all those grit particles together. Um, so it is, here you can see this layer of abrasive, and then it is glued or somehow bonded with glass. Um, I think they do that so that you have a known flat surface here. So if you need to flatten it on a piece of granite or something, that you know that the backside is also flat. These numbers here, 500 mesh, that's the grit. I don't know if the grit is counting within a square inch or centimeter or what, but We also know that the size of the grit particles is 29.4 microns. Um, that's pretty small, but this is actually a fairly aggressive stone. Um, I don't use it much because it will wear. I don't know if you can see there's a little dish spot in the middle. I haven't fully flattened this one in a while. Um, so let's go through some pros and cons of this type of stone. Um, this stone you want to use with water. It does not need to be soaked like a traditional water stone. I don't have any traditional water stones. They require a lot of flattening. They wear very quickly, and I just I don't prefer them. But this one you can just splash with water. Um, you don't need to soak it. Splash it with water and sharpen away. So that's nice. There are a lot of grits of these stones. Again, this is the 500. I know there's a 120, 220, all the way up to like 30,000, which is extremely fine. So there's a lot of different options with these. They're very easy to clean. You can basically just rinse the water off, and maybe use some soap and water to get any grit off. So they're fairly easy to use. They also provide really good feedback. And what I mean by feedback is you can feel the knife on the stone very well. You can hear different sounds, feel whether you have the edge on the stone or not. It provides a really good user experience in that way. So those are some reasons that I like this. Some cons to these stones. Number one, they're very expensive. Depending on the grit that you get, they range from $50 for a less fine one like this, up to $300+ for a single stone for the very, very fine ones. That's pretty expensive. If you want a big set of them, you're going to have to spend some money. The other thing, as you can see here from a drop or a ding, is they're fairly fragile. This is ceramic material, and it will chip and break. And like I said before, they do require flattening. Another word for flattening is lapping, Lapping. So if I refer to flattening as lapping, that's what I'm talking about. When I was using this stone regularly, I would usually have to flatten it every 2 or 3 uses. So it was pretty labor intensive. So these are the Shapton Glass stones. The next type of stone I want to talk about is probably the most popular for oboists, and that is the India stone. This is a Norton India stone. It has a grittier or a coarser dark side, and then the side that I've used the most is this kind of orange-red color side. These are aluminum oxide, and they're pre-soaked with oil from the factory. They're called oil stones. You can use oil with them as you sharpen, but you don't necessarily have to because they have some oil in them. If you see Norton crystalline stones, those are silicon carbide, and those are a little bit more aggressive than these. I don't have any of those. Pros of this stone, like I said, you can use oil, but you don't necessarily have to, so it's fairly no fuss. They're not super fragile. I mean, this is bumped around on my desk for a while, and no worse for the wear. They're relatively inexpensive, especially for a smaller one like this. I think this is maybe $15. Depending on the size that you get, you may spend $20 to $30, but they're relatively inexpensive, which is really nice. They cut the knife fast, meaning they remove metal quickly. They don't wear very quickly at all. I've never flattened this one, and it's still great. And they're easy to clean. Once you get some of the metal swarf built up like this, you just put some oil, mineral oil works great, on the surface of the stone and wipe it off. Do that a couple times if it's really dirty, and you've got a nice clean stone again. Some cons of these types of stones, as you can see, they do clog with metal from your knife if you don't clean them. A lot of people find this desirable because it fills in the grit particles of the stone on a microscopic level and gives you a finer stone. I don't prefer using these stones or any stone in that way. Um, I just think if you want a finer stone, you should get a finer stone. And while these are very fast, they're fairly coarse too. So I would use these as an initial sharpening for my knives. Um, but I don't want it to then also clog up and be fine. Um, let's see. So they will clog. They're fairly coarse, and the feedback on these stones is good, but it's a little bit vague. So it's hard to tell. I think that's because it's a little bit coarse. It's sometimes hard to tell if you are at the very, at the exact angle that you want with your knife, or what. So it's not bad feedback, but it doesn't tell you a whole lot. Okay, but these are great stones. They last forever. They're cheap. Um, I mean, oboists, I think, for generations have used them and trusted them, and there have been a lot of good oboe players out there making good reeds. So I think this is a very good option, especially for a slightly rougher stone. The next type of stone is a different type of ceramic stone, and these are made by, my favorite company that makes them is Spyderco. This is a Spyderco, spelled with a Y, S-P-Y, Spyderco fine ceramic stone. Man-made, obviously, alumina in a ceramic binder. Unlike the Shapton Glass stone, these do not need to be soaked. They don't need water. They don't need oil. You just use them dry, and when it gets dirty like this, you can clean it with Barkeeper's Friend or Comet and a sponge, soap, whatever. You can't really hurt these. They're pretty indestructible unless you drop them. They will shatter if you drop them on pavement or something. Spyderco, I'm not super familiar with other makers of these, but Spyderco offers 3 grits. This is a fine. There's also a white ultrafine, which is also a very nice stone. And then there's a kind of grayish brown colored medium stone. They do not wear. They do not require flattening. And they offer pretty good feedback. The sounds and feel you get off of these stones can tell you a lot about the angle you're sharpening at. Whether you're using a lot of pressure or not. You can tell a lot from these. They kind of have a sound, so they react to the knife really well and give you good feedback. Cons of these stones, they're kind of expensive, not too bad. Depending on where you buy them and what grit you get, you're looking at maybe $70 to $90. But again, they're not going to wear out, and if you don't drop it, it could last you decades. So that's the ceramic Spyderco stones. These come in a really nice plastic box with these feet on them that I put then on the stone. I don't have the plastic box around, so. Okay, moving on, we have diamond stones. Now, diamond stones are very straightforwardly diamond particles on a metal surface, okay? We have 2 different general types. There's these perforated types where the plastic kind of shows through very slightly underneath the diamond. The manufacturers say this is to let the metal swarf go down below the cutting surface and keep the stone cutting. I'm wondering if it's also so that they have to use less diamond. Could be. These diamond plates are just a steel bar with diamond impregnated on the surface. I prefer the steel plates because they there's more actual diamond abrasive, and therefore they'll cut a little faster than these, and they give better feedback and leave a more refined edge. The perforated ones are going to be a little cheaper, but if you have the extra $20 to $30 to buy a non-perforated one, I think that's a good bet. In general, diamond stones are a really nice option for oboists because you can use them wet or dry. You can put water on these, or you can use them dry. They're easy to clean. Just use soap and water. They do break in slightly. The feel of them with the knife can be a little bit more gritty when they're brand new and sort of break into a less gritty state, but they're not going to wear. I mean, diamond, no matter what steel you put to it, is not going to wear. So that's really nice. There's a lot of grits available. This is a DMT fine, denoted by the color. And what is this one? DMT Die Sharp Extra Extra Fine. The cons of diamond stones, the drawbacks are they're fairly expensive, especially for the finer grits. I would say anywhere from, depending on the grit and size you get, maybe, I don't know, $80 to $150, but you can find that online too. They don't give bad feedback, but I don't prefer the feedback they give. It's not my favorite. It's a little bit synthetic feeling, which is odd because it is diamond, but it's just not my favorite, but that's my personal preference. The plates themselves are quite heavy. This one probably weighs a good 3 or 4 pounds. And even the finest diamond stones, to me, still leave what I would call a toothy edge. Toothy meaning the edge of the knife isn't super smooth. It has little micro teeth to it. And even if you can't see them or feel them, on your fingernail, to me, they tend to rip the cane a little bit more easily rather than giving you a really nice, smooth surface to your cane. So with that being said, though, if you want a relatively affordable, no fuss, durable set of stones, my preference is for a slightly coarser diamond plate and one of these fine Spyderco ceramic stones. If this was a fine version or even a medium version, the two of these would make a great pair. That last for years. They give you good edges, and you do just fine, as long as you don't drop them. The last type of stone I want to talk about, I'm actually going to make another whole video about, but I wanted to mention them here, and that is Arkansas stones. These are the only stones I've talked about today that are natural, actual rocks. So Arkansas stones, first let me say, and they're not giving any money for this, but Dan's Whetstone Company is an excellent company to buy Arkansas stones from. This is also a Dan stone that I've lost the box for. They mine and finish stones extremely well, and I think they're fantastic. But Arkansas stones are actual sedimentary rock that is mined from the ground, mainly coming from Arkansas, hence the name. It's novaculite, which is a type of rock that's made up of microcrystalline quartz. And these stones are traditionally used with oil. So if I were to use these, I would put a little bit film of oil on here, and when I'm done using it, I would wipe the oil off. Okay. This happens to be a very, very fine black Arkansas stone, which is the finest grade. This is a translucent Arkansas stone, and I don't have my flashlight here, but if I were to shine a light back here, you could actually see the light shining through, which is why they're called translucent. And again, I'm going to make a whole new video about these stones, or about Arkansas stones in general, but I just wanted to mention them here quickly so that you know about them. Pros to Arkansas stones, lots of different grades. Again, these are both very fine stones. They have different makers or different miners categorize them differently. Dan's calls their most coarse type of stone a soft. Then they have a hard, which is finer. Then they have a true hard, which is basically a translucent stone, but not visually perfectly translucent. So that's true hard. Then they have the translucent and black. So there's lots of grades. What else? They give really, really nice feedback. They're really great to use. If you're sharpening in a quiet space, you can hear when your knife edge is on the stone and when it is not. It's really, really cool, and you can feel it as well under your fingers. Um, they are extremely wear resistant. They do not require flattening, um, especially if you get one from Dan's. They come flat out of the box, and you can use it for years with no problem, especially these hard varieties. Um, if you use it with oil, you basically don't have to clean it as long as you wipe the oil off when you're done. If you don't use it with oil, they can kind of get some uh, metal swarf built up on there. But then you just rub some oil on it, wipe it off, and you've got a clean stone again. I think Arkansas stones are visually gorgeous. Maybe that's just me. Um, but the most important thing to me is they give the finest, smoothest edges I've ever had for my reed knives. If diamond stones, for my taste, give a slightly toothy edge, these are the opposite. And these stones help keep me from tearing my cane, especially in the tips of my reeds. Um, Drawbacks to Arkansas stones, they can be kind of expensive depending on the size and the grit. The finer you go, the more expensive they are. I think this is a 4-inch by 2-inch by about 3/4 inch stone, and I don't remember exactly how much this costs, but say $70. Um, I think it's well worth it though. They can be slightly messy if you're using with oil. You can get oil on things, but it wipes off easily. They're a natural product, so there is slight visual and slight use, variation in use rather, and they do remove metal relatively slowly. Um, they're not gonna, grind away your knife into a nub anytime soon. So that's pretty much it for Arkansas stones. Again, I prefer Arkansas stones over all these other types. I only use Arkansas stones now, um, and I think they're great. But that's basically everything I've got that I own for sharpening stones. If you have any questions or have other suggestions of stones that you found to work really well or other sharpening methods, feel free to comment and let me know. I'm always looking for new sharpening methods and equipment. And thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful. Bye.